You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
McConnell's Republican neighbor doesn't know anything about absence, based on an article by Elizabeth Prezer. The Senate is not our private club, a vacancy without honesty. Mitch McConnell fell on June 14, was hospitalized, and has remained out of view while his team dribbles out proof-of-life photos that raise more questions than they answer. That is the factual center of the story. Everything else is the institution's effort to turn a public question into a managed image problem. Power hides behind procedure. The relevant power here is not gossip. It is Senate power, votes, leadership, access, and the ability to keep an aging officeholder in place while refusing the public a straight account. When an 84-year-old senator is still absent weeks later and his condition is treated as something to be hinted at through staged photos, the issue is not privacy. It is whether the people governing the chamber are honest about who is actually able to govern. Tuberville's performance of ignorance. Tommy Tuberville's repeated "I don't know anything" is not innocence. It is a convenient way to benefit from the uncertainty without taking responsibility for it. He says, "This isn't my business, that's the leadership's business," which is exactly the problem. If McConnell's condition can affect Senate votes, then it is everybody's business, because the chamber's power does not belong to the leadership clique alone. Image management as concealment. The released photos did what such photos usually do: they substituted optics for explanation. One photo with a newspaper, another with awkward framing, hands kept out of frame, and a long trail of public skepticism from a journalist, a family friend, and a forensic psychologist pointing out red flags. The point is not to certify any private medical reality from afar. The point is that the office is using visual theater because it does not want to provide information that would force political consequences. The real story is institutional cowardice. This is how elite institutions protect themselves. They preserve the formal title, conceal the actual condition, and ask the public to mistake silence for dignity. The article's framing is too polite for what this is. A senator's health becomes a governance problem the moment his party and colleagues treat transparency as optional and votes as if they can float free of reality. The pattern. What this reveals is a political class that clings to power while denying the public the facts needed to judge it. The Senate is perfectly willing to operate around weak, hidden, or absent actors as long as the machinery keeps moving. That is not stability. It is a system trained to prioritize control over truth and to mistake secrecy for competence. You've been listening to Systemic Error. Thanks to AltaNet for today's article. With it automated voice of Bryce, thanks for listening.